So it's Mountbellew Moylough 112, Corofin 9 points. Mountbellew Moylough are the Galway senior football champions for the first time since 1986. It is their first Galway senior football championship success in 35 years. A huge, huge achievement for Mountbellew Moylough to get this victory, to get this win over Corofin, the team that's very much, I suppose you could say, taunted Mountbellew Moylough down the years. Obviously not last year, but like Corofin have haunted Mountbellew down the years in terms of the final wins and the fact that Mountbellew Moylough have had so many final defeats since the last time they won this competition back in 1986. So the fact that they've actually gone and gotten this victory, gotten this win, they back up their victory over Corofin last year. They back up their win over Moylough in the semi-finals as well. It's a huge victory for them, no doubt about it. And I think it probably signifies not necessarily a change in the guard in terms of how Galway football has been over the past couple of years, but that's back-to-back Galway Senior Football Championships now that Corofin haven't won. And I suppose you could say maybe Mountbellew Moylough, looking at the recent results for them against Corofin and obviously beating Moylough in the semi-finals as well. You know, they're the top dogs in Galway this year, and rightly so. They were by far the better team today. There was absolutely no doubt about it. They came out faster, much sharper, much quicker. Owen Finnerty, absolutely brilliant, scoring 1-3. He was extremely impressive, no doubt about it. Barry McHugh, very impressive as well, playing at number 15. He was fantastic. The likes of Shane Moran in midfield, brilliant. Colin Ryan as well at number 5 at wingback was absolutely brilliant. He played a huge part in Mountbellew Moylough's goal in the mid part of, or I suppose the early part of the second half, you could say, obviously when Owen Finnerty was the man who eventually dispatched the goal. But yeah, it was a huge victory for Mountbellew Moylough, and this is the match reaction, as always, where I give my thoughts and share my opinions on the game after they have happened. So if you're new to the channel, if you could subscribe, I would very much appreciate it. And if you could share this out to your friends and family, that would be very appreciated as well. I suppose in the first half, really, like for me, Corofin, they just didn't seem sharp enough. They didn't seem up to the occasion as what you'd normally see, or certainly Mountbellew Moylough were just a lot quicker, a lot sharper in the early stages. Corofin struggled with their kickouts, no doubt about it. Bernard Power struggled from his kickouts. A lot of them kind of went over by the sideline. Mountbellew Moylough won a lot of the kickouts as well. There was even one circumstance where Bernard Power took too long for his kickout because he couldn't find any players, and the referee ended up having to throw the ball in because he took way too long with his kickout. And even at times when Corofin did win their own kickouts, their build-up play was a little bit slow, a little bit lethargic, and Mountbellew were able to force those turnovers from the likes of Shane Moore and Owen Finnerty, who was dropping in there at different stages in the game as well, and of course Barry McHugh, who was absolutely brilliant. And Corofin, yeah, just whatever it was about them, just a little bit lackadaisy at times in possession. A few times they picked the ball up off the ground, a few loose passes here and there, and they just struggled really to get into the flow of the game. Like they had just 1 point after about 27, 28 minutes. They hit 2 points just before the end of the first half, and they only had one wide up until that point as well. So, you know, you can see 2 scoring chances. Well, actually, they didn't have a wide. It was Martin Farragher's chance to drop short. So you could see with Corofin that they just weren't able to create much chances. They were going for that direct ball into Martin Farragher, into Michael Lundy. That was clearly the tactic in the first half, was to quickly offload the ball, long kick pass into the likes of Lundy, Farragher and Dylan Canning as well. But it just wasn't working. Mountbellew were getting a lot of joy defensively, and they were winning a lot of turnovers. Their intensity as well in the tackle was very commendable, no doubt about it. And certainly even at different times, Mountbellew were probably a lot of tactical fouls, you could say, to try and slow Corofin down at different stages in the first half and in the second half. And you know, Corofin just never really settled into the game. And as soon as Mountbellew built up a bit of a lead, a 5-point lead at half-time, Corofin's only kind of real good patch in the game, in my opinion, was just at the end of the first half, where I think there was like a 12-minute period in the game where Mountbellew didn't score, and Corofin were able to chip away 1 or 2 points from the likes of Dylan Canning getting on the score sheet during that time period as well. So, and of course, Dara Silk as well at different stages was very impressive. But yeah, it just, you know, in the second half, there was a 5-point deficit. You felt maybe for Corofin, if they could maybe create a couple of goal chances, or, you know, that maybe get more of their shooters on the ball, the likes of Farragher and the likes of Michael Lundy and whatnot. But it just wasn't there for them. And Mountbellew got an early point in the second half to take a 6-point lead. And then a brilliant turnover over on the left-hand side of the pitch. A tremendous amount of work from Colin Ryan. He was down over by the sideline, nearly pushed out over on the sideline. skipped past one or two players, offloaded the ball on. Eventually, it was worked to Owen Finnerty, and he blasted it comfortably past the goalkeeper of Bernard Power. So, and from that point, really, there was a huge lead for Mountbellew Moylough. They managed the game very well, defensively very well set up. Corofin had next to no goal chances at all in this game. Even in the closing minutes when they were chasing goals, they were all half chances, really. And I think there was a late chance for Dylan Canning where he just completely sliced the ball and it went miles wide. Or was one of the Corofin substitutes, I should say, actually. And that kind of just summed it up, really, for Corofin in some ways, that they just weren't anywhere near what we've seen over the past couple of years. And, sometimes you see this in Gaelic football and hurling where, it's impossible to keep winning year on, year out. Eventually, that winning cycle has to come to an end, and eventually teams will catch up to you. And we've seen that today. And it was a commendable performance from Mountbellew Moylough, who led for the majority of the game. They were never behind in the game whatsoever. Comfortable, composed, took their chances when they needed to, and a very commendable win, no doubt about it. And like what I said before, Owen Finnerty, he finished the day with 1-3. Barry McHugh finished the day with 5 points. John Daly and Michael Daly done a lot of the unseen work as well in and around the midfield and half forward line. They were very, very impressive, no doubt about it. And for Corofin, some young players in there, like Matthew Cooley came off the bench, and that was probably Corofin's only real goal chance. He forwarded that chance wide. Maybe if that goes in, it would have been a completely different game. Dylan Canning looked impressive at different stages as well. Rowan Steed kicked a good point early on in the first half. But yeah, the day without doubt belongs to Mountbellew Moylough, who comfortably dispatch Corofin in this final. And having beaten Mike Cullen in the semi-finals, and having beaten Corofin last year, given the success of Corofin over the last 5 or 6 years or so, Mountbellew Moylough are serious All-Ireland contenders now, in my opinion, as well. Like, you're looking at it and thinking, whoever comes through Mayo, whether it's Belmullet or Knockmore, you're looking at whoever comes through Dublin maybe, and Cork, or depending on the situation in Kerry, whether a divisional side comes through there, we'll see what happens. But yeah, the All-Ireland scene is definitely wide open, and for Mountbellew Moylough, it's been very tough for them to get through Galway in the past couple of years. They've come through Galway now. They'll certainly have their eyes on Connacht and on All-Ireland, no doubt about it. And they certainly have the talent, in my opinion, to go all the way. Absolutely no doubt about it. Huge victory for them. But this is the match reaction anyway. So if you could leave a like and subscribe, would kindly appreciate it. There'll be reactions out later for the Tipperary hurling final and the Tyrone senior football final. So stay tuned to them. My name is Aaron. Massive congrats to Mountbellew Moylough for the win. And I'll see you all later.